Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the October 30th, 2018 regular town council meeting. Meeting's called for 7 p.m., 7:05. I want to welcome everybody. Meeting officially called to order. Town clerk, can you give us a roll call, please?
Mayor Singer,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mendel, Councilmember Bernstein,
Here.
Councilmember Rojas, here, Councilmember Lusky.
Okay, if everyone could please rise and put your right hand on your heart. And Chief, can you lead the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Of course. And everyone, please face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everybody to the October meeting. We're going to switch over to the local planning meeting. So switching over to the local planning meeting, which is called for October 30th, 2018. Time is approximately 7:07 for the local planning meeting. One more time, can you give us a roll call, please?
Mayor Singer,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mendel, here, Councilmember Bernstein,
Here.
Councilmember Rojas, here, Councilmember Lusky.
Perfect, thank you. The item on the local planning meeting is the adoption of an ordinance amending the land development regulation.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, to amend Chapter 66 zoning to revise requirements for Zone 1 oceanfront properties, D, building height, number 1, main resident, lowercase d, amending allowable use in the area below the 18.2 feet NGBD with gym and laundry facilities, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve?
I need a second.
Okay, and again, go ahead.
Mayor,
You
Council,
know this by now.
Mayor and Council, just as a reminder, the local planning agency needs to determine whether or not this ordinance is consistent with your comprehensive plan. Town administration recommends that this recommendation is consistent with your comp plan. We'll discuss the item during second reading during the ordinance, but it is consistent with your comp plan.
Okay, with that, I'm going to adjourn.
No, you need to open it to the public. You need
Okay,
to,
And then vote on
and
it.
then vote on it.
Any council comments? Any public comments? Close it to the public, close it to the council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Rojas,
Yes.
Councilmember Lusky.
Okay, with that, we're going to close the local planning agency hearing and move on to the regular council agenda. So make a motion to adjourn from the local planning agency.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, with that, we'll move back to the regular town council meeting. First on the agenda is presentations, and we have presentations for the appreciation of the 5K committee members. And first of all, unfortunately, I was out of town for it, but I heard it was even better than the prior year. And we're making progress, and it's a successful event. And I commend you guys for pulling it off because you really did a great job. So with that, we have a certificate of appreciation. First, James Allen. Thank you very much. Run on up here.
Of course, nothing else.
Thank you. The check's in the back of the certificate.
Great.
Okay. Destiny, she's not here today?
She'll be.
Okay. David Long. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Oh my God, how long is it?
Sergeant Julio Soak. Congratulations. Thank you for your assistance. It was a pleasure. Thank you. And this year, can you tell us a little about how many participants we had and how it went in your eyes and what we can do better for next year? Because I see this event definitely moving for a third year. So I'd love to hear your comments.
She's in the hospital. In the hospital. In the hospital.
Yeah, we had about 75.
We'll talk.
In the prior year, we had what, maybe 40?
Yeah, of course, we were interrupted by a little hurricane last
Right.
year.
But still, 75 is
Still,
great, right?
We did better this year, and I think we also had several canines participating, which was a new addition, which I think went really well for the town. And everybody was really happy.
Good weather made it possible, good planning and good participation with the town's
anything that you see we could do to improve it, or?
I don't know, it really went well. I mean, we just, there weren't really any snafus, so.
And the charity is, so everyone knows, is Best Buddies. And how much did we raise?
Mayor, right here, we have a $4,000 donation to Best Buddies this year.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Again, we really appreciate your hard work, and next year, hopefully, we have 100 people.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
thanks.
Great.
Great. You always have our support.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
How'd you guys finish?
Well, that's one of our goals, to have enough participants so that we actually have finishing places.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Next is motion to set agenda, additions, deletions, removal items from the consent agenda, and changes to the agenda. My understanding, we're going to delete item number 09 and 010 regarding the Craig A. Smith and relating to the stormwater improvement, and item number 10 also relating to the stormwater improvement. Again, we only have 3 council members here. It's not fair if we proceed with this item with only half the council here. So I need a motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So council and staff, we're removing 09 and 010. I have no other changes. Council? Staff?
Nope.
Okay. Moving right along, move to good and welfare. Anyone here for good and welfare?
No.
Nope? Okay. It's gonna be a short meeting. Moving right along to mayor's report. Just 4 quick items. One is tomorrow evening is the Halloween party. That is by far, I think, Golden Beach's best party. I urge everyone to come. Try to dress up in a costume if you can. It makes it a lot more enjoyable. And we're expecting a lot of kids. We're going to have a lot of food. We have some kosher food. That's been a problem in the past, but this year we've got some kosher food. We've got some great rides. We've got some great gift baskets. And I know Michael has been working extremely hard on it. Hats off to you. Congratulate you before it even starts. So I know we're going to have great weather. I'm expecting the police department to really be on their best game, because it's important, because due to the fact we have so many children. I mean, every year we have 300 to 500 kids at least. So it's great. It's a great item, and it's a great party, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I got my costume ready, ironed, ready to go. So I will be there full force. So
Iron Man, right?
the next on the item is the street lighting project. I know it feels like we're dragging our feet on the street lighting project. We've been dealing with 2 hurricanes. After the first hurricane, we lost 1 crew, got another crew back. After the second hurricane, we lost another crew. They are working aggressively on the lighting project. Town manager is going to give us an update on where they are and when do we feel that it will be completed. I know that by the end of the year, that's our goal, to have the lighting project completed. Again, it's not affecting the cost any, it's just affecting the time. And, you know, it's an unforeseen event, unfortunately, but that it does happen. The town hall presentation, the town manager and I are going to go through that at the end of the council meeting. I recommend everyone stick around. Again, it's just a presentation on where we are, what we've done thus far, what our plans are. Again, we're not voting on anything this evening. It's just a strategic plan. We have some diagrams, some illustrations, and we are making progress, and it's very, very exciting. Again, but that's a way, way long-term project. If you haven't visited the beach pavilion and the additions and the changes that we've made to it, I recommend that you do. I think the beach pavilion came out phenomenal. The guardhouse project came out phenomenally well. We're very, very happy how both those projects turned out. We've added a tremendous amount of fun amenities to the beach. I think the residents will really, really appreciate it, not only for younger kids, but for older kids and for young adults and old adults. So my hat's off to the town administration and the for overseeing the projects. Once again, these projects came in under budget or at budget, and that's a feather in our hat. And I'm very, very pleased on how the outcome of those projects are. So that's it for my comments. As I said before, the town hall discussion will be after we go through the agenda. But I'll turn it over to council comments. Councilman Bernstein, you have any? Thank you. No, I'm sorry.
No, just looking forward to seeing you in your costume tomorrow, and hopefully
I'll be full.
if you're gonna wear it, you'll have seen the movie or whatever this time, as opposed to Captain America.
I'm not Captain America this year, just so you know.
He goes back and forth, either
Anyway.
Popeye or Captain America.
I'm looking forward to Halloween. I encourage everyone to go out and wear a costume. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of trick or treating outside. Make sure all the kids go out. I think you covered most of the stuff. I want to mention the Pittsburgh shooting at the Tree of Life congregation. The rabbi of our temple, Rabbi Birkin, his father was the rabbi there, and that was his temple for his whole life. It's something. There's a lot of us who are from the Pittsburgh, who are in the Pittsburgh community and spent time there. The rabbi's deeply touched and is doing something special tomorrow night for Shabbat services, and I just kind of wanted to let everybody know that might have an interest or might
Tomorrow night or Friday night?
Friday night, I'm sorry, for Shabbat services, and just wanted to let everyone know that this has impacted, while it's in Pittsburgh, it's impacted everybody everywhere, and ties is close to what the rabbi for the Interpretive Jewish Center.
Thank you. And our hearts go out for everyone there. Councilwoman,
I don't have
perfect. Moving right along, town manager report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the residents and the audience and the council, quick report as it relates to the street lighting project. As the mayor mentioned, the project commenced on time. We have all but one light already installed, and we have about 60% of the lights that are connected. FPL crews have been dispatched to two different locations. First, they went to the northeast for Florence, and then they went to the center part of the country for the last hurricane, Michael. So the crews have been gone, but we do have some crews that are working. The town did provide some temporary lights as we were waiting for the program to come back online. As the community should know, the project is being paid for by FPL, so we're at their mercy in terms of getting them to come online. It is a $1.5 million project that we're paying only $160,000 for. So I know that we're anxious to get the project delivered, but we're at the mercy of FPL. Just know that we're doing everything that we can to get them there. We have had extra police coverage on the south side of town, which is where it's most dark. So there's extra crews that are coming in and patrolling the south side of town. We're holding crews over or calling in crews earlier. So just know that we haven't had any incidents because of the lighting issues. And we'll continue to be vigilant. We'll continue to ask them to move the project along. As you recently saw, we finished all of our projects, both at the beach and at the pavilion. During the summer, we finished $1.4 million worth of projects. We'll continue to maintain those projects. This evening, the item that was pulled, I think was pulled for a responsible reason, but we are moving forward with addressing the flooding on Center Island. This evening, we'll go over some of the town hall projects. Tomorrow night, we're expecting a very active and full crowd in town. I urge all residents to please leave your cars at home and walk to North Park. If you're elderly and you would like for us to pick you up, we'll have 2 cars roving. Call the substation and we'll go to your house and we'll pick you up. But we would like for all residents to leave their cars at home and walk to the Halloween party. After the Halloween event, I ask all drivers in town to be extra vigilant. Because street lights are down, we need you to be extra vigilant because kids will be crossing and adults will be crossing the streets going trick-or-treating, and we don't want to have any incidents. We'll have more than 7 police officers in town to provide security and to try to make the area safe, but it takes everyone being a active partner in that effort. If you haven't visited Twiddle Park recently, Twiddle Park was delivered just a few months ago. Twiddle Park is active. We ask all residents to try to go to Twiddle Park as often as they can. Mayor, there's an item on the consent agenda that I just want to briefly touch about during my discussion. The budget transfer item, in case there's any questions about the budget transfer item, that is a cleanup item. So there's no additional cost being incurred by the town. All we're doing is realigning our departments. Typically, the item is not on consent. I don't know why I didn't pull it, but it's a cleanup item. And with that said, Mayor, the bulk of the report will be given during the town hall presentation.
Town attorney, Steve, has nothing. Item number K, ordinance is second reading. K1, ordinance amending the town code. Ordinance to include a new article providing regulations for the use of golf carts.
Ordinance of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, amending the town's code of ordinances by adding sections 38 through 100 through 38-100 through 38-109 to a new article for golf carts within section 38, drafted into the code to provide regulations for the use of golf carts on the public roads and streets within the town's jurisdiction, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Need a motion to approve?
Second.
Second, okay.
Mayor, as you know, this item was passed on first reading with a couple of changes. Change number 1 is for any individual who does not have a driver's license, the police will be asking them to present themselves for a skills test to make sure that they're competent and capable of driving the golf cart. So anyone who's under the age of, who does not have a driver's license, but is over the age of 14, they would have to come in and present themselves for a skills test to make sure that they're competent and able to drive a golf cart. The second thing is the council asks that every golf cart that's on the road be insured. So this item requires proof of liability and bodily injury insurance for the golf cart. So those are the two changes from first reading to second reading. As you know, state law allows for individuals from the age of 14 through adulthood to be able to drive the golf cart. The council felt that anyone over the age of 14 should be able to demonstrate their ability to drive the golf carts, and that all golf carts should be insured. Those are the only changes from first reading to second reading.
Okay. Any council comments?
I do in one second.
I'll come back to you. Any public comments? Yes. You don't have to hear you. Go on.
I'm not familiar with this, but I am a golfer. By somebody, an older person, who instead of putting the car and going to put it in reverse. So I'm leery about, why did you lower it to 14 years old?
It's not, it's under the state ordinance. We didn't lower it. The state ordinance overrides our ordinance, and it says basically, skills test, and all those 14, they can do it. We only have, I believe, had not been an issue. And, I brought it up. Go on, Jeff.
Just a quick question, is night driving allowed if they've got headlights?
So long
Yeah, as long as it has
as long
headlights.
as the vehicle meets all street requirements for day or nighttime driving, it would be allowed.
Any other comments? Did you have something, Councilman Burns?
Yeah, I had talked with this town attorney. I think especially without all the council people here, I'd like to just defer this while the attorney looks into something.
He would like us to look further at the potential of increasing the age
I
limit.
thought we looked into this last time.
We did.
And what was
And-
the solution or the resolution? What,
You know, once you start once you enact an ordinance locally, those are the limitations that are in there. You know, we can look at it one more time, but I think I'm gonna come back with the same answer, that you can't change the.
right, I thought we went through this, and the discussion was we can't change it, because the state ordinance says that as long as you pass a skills test.
I think that there's a policy approach that we're being asked to consider, and it's to have a local rule that's stricter than what the state allows. Enforce our rules, and if someone challenges it, then we try to defend ourselves against that. The village of Key Biscayne current ordinance allows for 16-year-old drivers. It does not say 14. But the Village of Key Biscayne ordinance was enacted prior to a change in state statutes. What that council has decided to do, and Steve sits on the council, and if I'm misrepresenting them, please let me know. They've decided not to change their ordinance. But I'm sure their police enforces state law. State law says 14, and I'm sure that a police officer doesn't give them a code violation. Because remember, violating this is a code violation. It isn't necessarily a traffic infraction. Okay?
What
Because-
happens so if there's an accident, then it becomes a traffic
Well,
infraction,
i-
correct?
if two moving vehicles have an accident, just like if a pedestrian has an accident with a vehicle, then yes, the criminal traffic code comes into play. But if you were to violate our local ordinance infraction, now if a 13-year-old is behind a golf cart or a 12-year-old is behind a golf cart, then they're in violation of state law. And then the Uniform Code of Traffic Enforcement for the state would play a factor. It's a gamble. I mean,
So let me, I want to understand Councilman Bernstein's theory. What would you like to see?
I'd just like to put in there that we put it for 16 and see what happens.
I thought we were originally going to do that, but then the attorney said we could not. Am I correct?
Listen, there are several attorney general opinions. There's not any court cases, but there's several attorney general opinions on this specific issue. And they say,
I agree with that. I mean, I think it should be 16
Well-
to drive a golf cart because they go 20 miles an hour.
The
Like
problem
Ms.
is-
Fishbein
the
said, you
problem
could
is-
get hit.
we're prohibiting. The only way that you can have them is if you pass this order. So you can either tell everybody in town that you just can't have them, you can't use them on the public. Well, then the only way you can legally use them is if you enact a local ordinance. Now, we've included some things in here that are already questionable, which is the insurance requirements and the skills test. We're putting something in that the state is not sanctioned. So we've tried to build in some more safeguards.
I think the skills test, satisfies part of your concerns. Because you have to pass the skills test, even though we can't force it, but to drive a golf cart. And it's not like we have an influx of golf carts. I think we've got 3, and the one golf cart I only see goes to the beach pavilion in the resident's house, and one goes to
and
the...
this code prohibits that. So our ordinance prohibits crossing over to the beach building.
Right.
By the way, that was after I met with you, and I went back to my notes. That was one of the things that we talked about was that we would not be able to go through the car gate to the beach.
That's correct.
And I didn't see that addition.
In order to go upon, in order to go upon a state road, you have to modify, you have to go through a different process. Let's just see here. Anywhere on the road source of it except across the thoroughfare market intersection.
This would not allow you, so you would not be able to use a golf cart.
This will not allow you to go...
That's
golf.
correct. Remember, the whole discussion was because
Actually-
the gate arms won't open. The whole so our gate arm system at the beach pavilion requires a certain weight of vehicle, and the vehicle must be a registered resident vehicle. Okay, so your current rules and regulation for the beach prohibit the golf carts from going there already. Okay, so
Go around and make it through the walkway.
no. So the arms of the beach have been extended so that you can't go through them.
We haven't had any issues with it.
No, we have
We were
not.
making up issues that we haven't had.
No, I'm
But if
just-
you're not satisfied with it, we can...
It's not that. Just as the father of boys and kids.
fine.
Once
You have,
I just realized once the latest hottest thing is for one kid or two kids to start having golf carts, there's going to be a proliferation of them, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, and just it's when I talked to the chief about this, and we spent considerable time talking about this. There's some safety concerns that we discussed that.
So what would you like to see in the ordinance?
I'd love to just make it 16, and if we get challenged, then we can say.
I have no problem. Jeff, do you have something to say?
Two things. I was looking at the state statute. It just says that golf cart may not be operated on public roads and streets by any person under the age of 14, so it's pretty clear the state
State says 14,
says
right?
14. The second thing is, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned 20 miles an hour, but I think it says the ordinance should restrict golf carts to a maximum of 15 miles an hour, which I think would satisfy maybe Commissioner Bernstein's concern that if it's a 15-mile-an-hour limit, that's a fairly slow speed if people abide by that. And third, is this really a solution in search of a problem? Because I don't see that many golf carts.
Right, we don't see a problem. We're making a problem. I agree with you.
And I don't.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
making
see the
something
problem.
bigger than it
I
is.
see
It's wasting
one
money.
golf cart ever, it's a lot.
No,
And
no
if there,
question,
and if
but
there's,
but-
if it
but all
becomes
of
a
s-
problem,
But if all of a sudden, my concern is this, and I'm just saying this as a father of kids, like, all of a sudden the state, they switch to a new scooter or something new comes along, and it just, everyone seems to go get that. I just think that if all of a sudden you start having kids drive around for, like, golf carts, there's gonna be a lot of other kids saying, hey, Dad, can we get a golf cart that I could drive around and use? And I just think you're gonna have our streets, I think you're gonna have our streets filled with a lot of kids using these things.
but we've had golf carts have been allowed forever, and we have two golf courts in the community. I think that,
But now you're legalizing it for before on something unclear. Now you're saying
But
kids
anyone
can go
that
in there
could-
and use 14-year-olds.
that's fine, I don't, but anyone could have gotten a golf cart before. It's never been an issue. And like Jeff Son's saying is that we're making an issue when it doesn't need to be an issue.
Well, I would support the idea of 16 if that's how you feel, because there are some questions in my mind about a 14 or 15-year-old's ability to drive as well as somebody who's 16 or older.
And I
Just
said-
like a mini bike. A mini bike, there's no mini bikes, but a mini bike, a
Mr.
14-year-old guy,
Mr.
kid could drive a mini bike.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, as you know, I like to always keep the record straight. You made a statement that's not accurate. So if you currently have a golf cart in Golden Beach and you're driving your golf cart, you're doing so illegally. Okay?
Yes.
So you do not have the right to drive a golf cart in Golden Beach today. Doing so, you're doing so illegally. The reason we're proposing this ordinance is so that those individuals who currently have golf carts stop violating the law and allow them to use their golf carts in a legal manner. That's why we brought this item for your consideration. It is illegal to drive a golf cart in Golden Beach today.
We
And
have
you-
something on the books that says it is illegal?
Yeah,
State,
the
state law
state law
prohibits
says
it on
But
any
if-
public
But if you
road.
drive it, so what's the penalty if you drive
But then,
it?
you could
Unless-
get you could get a you could get a you could get a
Moving
a
violation?
moving violation. That is correct.
having a state law.
That is correct. So what we're trying to do is trying to make a behavior in town legal.
Why don't we do that with Ken's change of making it 16? Will that satisfy you?
And when I hear Jeff read the statute, it's just the statute's just saying that it has to be at least 14. I'm not saying I don't hear it saying that it has to be everybody above 14. It's just saying that at a minimum it has to be 14.
That's
But
me.
that's what it means.
No, it has to be at least 14. You can't be 13.
Younger.
A state, a local ordinance can't say it's 13, but why? But I don't hear it saying that it has to be anyone that's operating. It has
Because
to be
it's
above
more restrictive than what the state
Allows.
has put in place.
But the state,
They're
that's
all,
not true. The more I think about what you just said,
right.
we already have the ability to restrict golf carts, period.
They're
So
not
if we, have the
permitted.
if we have the ability to restrict golf carts, period, the state's already given us that right. So if we take the lowest standard of that statute, which is that it has to be 14 or older, and we don't have to permit it, then there's nothing requiring us to do in the state. But if we wanted to permit it, which is allowing it, why can't we just restrict it to 16?
Because that is the criteria under which they are authorizing you to permit it. Those are the criteria. There's a number of criteria, to hours, everything else, and they're saying we will recognize and allow these vehicles, golf carts, on a public street, and these are the rules. Now, you may not like them, and you don't have to enact them.
So why don't we do this? Because we can beat this
Right.
straight. So the
I'm
council
sorry,
knows.
just Jeff had
Hold,
one
hold on a
comment.
second. Why don't we change it to 16? Okay, bring it back next council meeting for approval, but change it to make it our ordinance for 16 or older. And I think you still keep the skills test in there or driver's license.
I'm not sure.
No, you can't require a driver's license. So a 16-year-old with no driver's license can do whatever they want.
So you would do it the same way as we had it before. We'd say 16 years old, and if they don't have a driver's license, they have to go through a skills test and have the insurance requirements that we talked about in place.
I
We would
believe.
take the same way we're proposing it right now, except make the minimum age 16.
No, I don't think it's a substantial change. I don't know why you, if that's what you want to do, you might as well just do it tonight. What's the point in deferring it?
Okay.
I don't have a
I
problem.
mean, if the
No, that's
three
fine.
of you wanna do
That's
it,
fine.
then
You got a
just do it.
comment, Jeff?
Yeah, I think Commissioner Bernstein is right. I'm looking at the statute. There are seven requirements under 316.212, talking about different restrictions, but then section 8 says a local government entity may enact ordinance relating to golf cart operation and equipment, which is more restrictive than those enumerated in this section, which are the 7 prior sections. So I agree with Commissioner Bernstein.
So let's change it to 16. Is that all right, Amy?
Yeah.
Anyone
More
in the
restrictive,
public have a
better.
issue with that? Town attorney, any issue with that?
I can't tell you that I can.
Yeah,
I can't tell you that I can defend it, but if that's what you guys want to do, you do it. Listen, you know,
do
you
it.
don't have to listen to my advice.
ditto.
But how do you explain what Jeff?
I have a question.
Because there's numerous attorney general opinions as it relates to municipalities who try to be more restrictive than the age of 14,
Yeah.
and on 3 different attorney generals from 3 different administrations that
Well,
no,
two different ones.
2 different attorney generals have opined that municipalities who try
On
to
this
become
issue.
more stricter than 14, they've said no cities, you cannot be more restrictive than the state. That's so you have to have that
Yeah,
you have to have
on
that
this
other
issue.
part. It's not just the statute. It's there's no
They're
core
basically
action.
authorizing 14-year-olds to drive golf carts,
Yeah,
and you
and I think that Mr.
cannot
Sun is
prohibit
aware of
that
that.
when
So
the
risk
state.
we're taking is that somebody's family
Challenges
wants
it.
Somebody wants
Challenges,
to challenge
yeah.
it and say, I want my 14-year-old to drive. I
Right.
think it's a risk we're taking.
Right, that's fine. I'm sorry, did you have a comment?
That was my question, that if we make a rule that is 16 and the state ordinance, doesn't state take preference over
Yeah.
towns?
16 it is.
I believe so, but you know what? There's a lot of smart people in here. Maybe they're right.
I think that it supersedes.
Okay. Town,
No.
so Steve, you wanna read?
The only change would be that under section 38.3, change section 1 to read by an individual under the age of 16.
Is everyone okay with that? Okay, roll call.
If you're under 16, you're prohibited.
We understand the consequences, we understand.
Okay.
We don't need to bring it back.
Which by the
No,
way,
I'm not. I mean,
Well,
I've
by the
done
way,
the
that's
No,
research.
I mean, look, you could direct us to do whatever you want, but I can tell you a couple of things. One, we're not going to pass the legal sufficiency, and I'm not sure if our attorney or the firm should sign a document saying that it meets legal sufficiency. That's number one. Okay. You should not enact.
Hey, Alex, I don't mean to cut you off, but can we maybe meet? Can we maybe have Steve look into this privately?
He's looked into it.
No, but look at this. Just
It's the same answer.
Yes, what are you gonna do? There's no, he has the cases.
Basically, if you want to do this, I've looked at this. My opinion's not changing. So if you want to act on it, just act on it. Vote here, do whatever you want.
I'm not sure I could codify something that doesn't have legal sign off on it being legally sufficient. I'm not sure Muni Code will allow us to enact to
Yeah, they will.
without passing legal
They
sufficiency.
don't care.
But I don't,
They'll publish
when
it.
you read by, forget about how other people in other districts of Florida have looked at this. In terms of what Jeff's saying, I mean, it sounds like just from the wording of the statute and the ordinance, that we're able to be more restrictive than what it
No,
says.
Except for
But
the
there's
except
two
for the
cases.
two legal
Well,
except for
I
the
feel like
two
there's
attorney
cases
general
by that.
Listen,
opinions
when they
that contradict
here's
that.
here's the issue. The issue is that when the state comes in and preempts an area, okay? When they come in and preempt and regulate the area, unless they give you the authority to act different than that, they've preempted this. This is the law of the state, okay? You can't go in and do something inconsistent with what the state has already preempted. Now, if they didn't regulate it, you can do whatever you want. But they regulate vehicles on a highway, and they're saying this is the terms under which we will allow these vehicles to operate on a public street. Okay?
Was that statute? theirs and they haven't had any problem.
That's what they've done.
But do we know
But
where
Key
this
Biscayne is,
actually was?
but Key Biscayne, you need to understand something. Key Biscayne is a totally different place. They are encouraging this. They want everybody out there on these golf carts. They can't get enough golf carts on the street.
Right, 'cause they
So
want
it's
to
a
get rid of the
whole
cars.
different mentality there. They got kids running all around there, and they love it.
But
I thought you just
16.
said
They want them out of the cars.
So they have them at 16.
They do. But they can be unlicensed at 16. There's no skills test or anything. So 17-year-old kid who can't get a driver's license can still run around and drive
Are you
these things.
saying that ours is more restrictive because it may be 14, but we would have the skills test?
We put the skills test in there to deal with that particular issue, 16 to 14. At this point, I don't know why you have the skills test. I mean, it was there to try to deal with a 14-year-old who was
Well, if we
driving.
Changed it to 16, we wouldn't need the skills.
Well, there are
You could
plenty
still
of
put
there
it
are
in
plenty
there.
of people who are 16 and not licensed.
Right.
I would keep it the way it is, 16, and if you have a license, then that's great. If not, then you have to go through the skills test. But Steve,
Okay.
look,
This is,
when I hear him read
Yes.
the statute, and
Right.
without looking at the statute itself,
Right. Okay.
like I understand that you have case law that might point
It's not
otherwise.
case
It's
law.
not case law. It's attorney general opinions.
it's the Florida Attorney General's opinions, which carry weight. They're
Right.
not the precedent
Thrown out.
of law, but they take I mean, on issues of interpreting state
Come on, you know that.
statutes,
You know that.
they are,
I haven't read everything.
they're
Doesn't
significant.
matter.
Listen to what you have to
Right,
say.
but he's
Okay,
telling us.
if you want to read the stuff, then defer this and you can read it to convince
There's no
yourself
reason to defer it.
of what it says. I'm good with that, but
No reason to defer it. Why don't we change it for now to 16?
okay.
Okay? If there becomes an issue, we'll address it at the time. Is that fine with council?
Yeah.
Amy? Is that fine?
When you have a 14-year-old, you're just gonna. That's when you'll have to deal with it.
That's what
When
we're
a
doing.
14 or 15-year-old's driving a golf cart,
They issue a moving
And,
violation.
excuse me, but what if the parent comes and says, here's the state law that says 14?
that's exactly that's what they're gonna
I
do.
mean, the state can't enact laws against the federal government, so I'm not sure that,
Anyway, that's
I'm not,
face the problem.
I'm
When
But
they
you
buy
know
a
what,
golf
though?
cart for their
By
kids.
saying, let me explain something. By saying we want the people to be 16 or a prudent
I
parent
agree.
will say, you know what? You can't drive the golf cart because the town of Golden Beach
Correct.
wants you to be 16. So most parents, responsible parents, will tell the 14-year-old you can't drive it because that's the rules.
They'd be glad.
Right, they'll be glad. So,
That's
you know, if
I
anything,
agree with you.
yeah, if anything, it's setting a little precedent.
Fine.
So with that, town clerk, love to do a roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mendel,
No, hold on.
What?
You have to put it in the proper format. So there's a motion amendment, the ordinance amending the age from 14 to 16. You need to vote on that.
That's correct.
Then after you vote on, then you can
Thank
vote on
you.
the ordinance as a whole.
Thank
so you
you.
need a motion to amend the ordinance from the age of 14 to the age of 16.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Now
Sam,
on, now
I don't mean
on.
to interrupt you, but I'm getting texts. People can't watch it on TV. Said the sound's not that good.
Well, because my mic is up here, sorry. Because I use it for fish bite.
let me double check just to be on the safe side.
Is the TV on in there?
Yeah. Can you guys hear it?
It's fine?
Yeah, my mic is far away. That's
Okay.
why I put it up there so much.
Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
Now on the motion as amended, a motion to adopt is always in order.
Motion to adopt
As amended.
as amended. Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mendel. Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Rojas. Motion passes.
Okay. Item number second, K2, an ordinance amending the town code of ordinance to revise requirement for Zone 1 oceanfront properties.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, to amend Chapter 66 zoning to revise requirements for Zone 1 oceanfront properties, D, building height, number 1, named residence, lowercase d, amending allowable use in the area below the 18 NGBD to include a gym and laundry facilities, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Any motion to approve? Any a second?
Mayor, just before we go into the item, I'd just like to remind the mayor and the council Robert's Rules of Order. A motion to reconsider is only appropriate at the meeting where an item is being discussed or at the meeting following that meeting. If a meeting after that meeting is held, then a motion for reconsideration is not in order. So items for reconsideration can only be held during the meeting where the item is being discussed or at the meeting immediately following that meeting. Just to remind the council when a motion to reconsider is appropriate on an item that passes or fails the agenda. As it relates to ordinance number 584.18. Ordinance 584.18 is specific, it's a cleanup ordinance that allows us to place gyms and laundry facilities underneath the substrate on a home on Ocean. This is a cleanup item. It passed on first reading. No changes from first reading.
Council, any comments? Public, any comments?
Which section of Robert's Rules of Order?
I could have the clerk bring my Robert's Rules of Order.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Wait, you have to open it to the public.
Yeah, he did.
I was paying attention.
Vice Mayor Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Rojas.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number L, ordinances first reading, there are none. Item number N, quasi-judicial resolution, there are none. The following items are on the consent agenda. N3, official meeting of the minutes for the August 21st, 2018 regular town council meeting. Item number N4, official meeting of September 12th, 2018, first budget hearing meeting. N5, official meeting of the September 27th, final budget hearing and special town council meeting. Item N6, resolution of town council approving a mutual aid agreement between the town of Golden Beach and the village of Indian Creek. Item number N7, a resolution of the town adopting Amendment 3 to the 2017-2018 fiscal year operating budget. Item number N8, a resolution of town council recognizing City Government Week, October 22nd to October 28th. Item number 3 through 8 are on the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone not approve? The consent agenda approves. Item number 9 and 10 were pulled off. So town resolution item 011, a resolution of town council authorizing canal dredging.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, authorizing the submittal and processing of permits for canal dredging, providing for implementation and an effective date.
Need a motion to approve? Any a second? Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Town manager?
Mayor and council, this is we're finally at the final permitting stage of our canal maintenance project. What this does, it submits to Durham for final approval. We'll have our permit in hand by the end of the year, and we'll go out to bid in January. What we've changed our canal maintenance program. Our canal maintenance program now will require for us to do canal maintenance in all of our canal waterways to provide for a minimum clear draft of 5 feet at low tide. What we've done is we did an analysis of all of the boat docks that we have in town and what is the largest vessel that could be moored within the interior canals, not on the intercoastal waterways, but within the interior canals, based on the largest vessel that could be moored in town and based on the clear draft that's needed by those vessels at low tide. We feel that providing a 5 feet clear draft at low tide is the appropriate and most fiscally responsible approach to canal maintenance. We ask your favorable support on this item so we can make our final transmittal. Like I mentioned earlier, during the next 2 months, we'll be drafting our RFQ and our RFP to go out for pre-qualifications of those responsible bidders to provide us with this service, and then we'll go out to bid. Once proposals are secured, a selection committee will rank those proposals, and the award will be made by this council at a meeting in the future.
Okay. Open for discussion for the council. Amy, do you have any comments?
Do we have any idea once they start how long it'll take?
Yes. So it could take anywhere from 6 months to 9 months, depending on the depth and at the location. The great thing is that we've been able to resurvey our canals because we found no new grass or no grass in town. It allowed us to not have to do a mitigation project. So once we start, it'll take anywhere from 6 to 8 months.
And by not doing the mitigation project, the town saves over $70,000.
That's correct.
So that was a huge savings.
It was.
So, but the long process is getting the approvals and the permits.
That's correct.
So trust me, 2 years for me.
It has been.
So, any comments? Any public comments? Close it to the council, close it to public. Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Rojas.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. With that, we're
Can't
gonna,
happen soon enough.
with that, we're gonna go into our, town hall presentation. I'm gonna start, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the town manager. Let me explain before we even get started on this. You're taking my props. We can do it over there.
So that everyone can see.
We need a microphone though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So before we get started, let me just tell you, the town manager and I have been working all summer to try to start the wheels in motion for the new town hall and the civic center. We have listened to the residents. Several items were pointed out to us. I'm sorry. Oh, and Lisette, excuse me, and Lisette, who's been helping us tremendously, has been a big asset to our team. But a few items have been pointed out that we've been cognizant of. Number one is we know that a civic hall and town hall is needed. Number two is we know that the residents do not want any financial burden to build a new town hall and a civic center. So what we did was, and I'm going to get into that, we kind of worked backwards. We know how much money we have and how much money we can afford, and then we went from there forward. The other thing is, I know the residents wanted a town hall that could survive a category 3 or 4, possibly 5 hurricane where we can use as a command post. Another item is we wanted to add additional parking throughout the town, so when people have parties, whether it be in town or on the beach, there's always been a lack of sufficient parking. By our plan that we're going to propose tonight, and again, this is for discussion purposes only. We are not even close to getting started. I'm going to go through what the process is after this, but we know that the town needs additional parking. We took that into consideration. Also, another concern of the residents were they wanted additional amenities. So we took that into the consideration. And what we did was, we're going to elaborate a second on the funding, but we know we have approximately about $5 million where we can afford to spend in the town of Golden Beach. And one other concern that people brought up, which was a great point, was that we have this great historic town hall. You know, what are we going to do with it? We don't want to knock it down. We don't want to waste it. But at the same time, we know we've outgrown it, and we need to do something. And we can still utilize it, and at the same time build a new town hall. So taking that into consideration, what we thought would be a great first approach is when we do the town hall, to convert this, our existing town hall, into a gym and a civic center. So basically, what we're going to do, again, this is all discussion purposes only. We're not voting. We're not making any decisions tonight. To elaborate on the process, what we plan on doing is going through these diagrams and discussion purposes this evening. The next few months have open discussions about it with the council and the residents, any suggestions and recommendations. Then by the first quarter of 2019, go out, we have to go through the bid process. We have to have qualified bidders to go out to hire, excuse me, sorry about that, to go out and to hire, figure out who we're going to hire for an architect. After that gets done, then we go into the process of going out to bids for construction. Again, this is for discussion purposes. We're not making any decisions this evening. But a good starting point is, we have this existing town hall. We hate to use, for it to go to waste.
Excuse me, but where is this new structure
We're
going to
gonna,
be?
I'm gonna get into that, okay. So, let's talk about the existing structure. The existing structure is the town hall here currently. And what we plan on doing is, we plan on opening the bottom floor, make it completely open, build ADA restrooms, put in a full gym, possibly a training room, a stretching room, and again, these are just preliminary plans, nothing's finalized. We're trying to use what's best for the space that we have. We'll have to replace the windows, we have to keep the AC, we keep the electrical, and we do have to do some changes, we have to make bathrooms, ADA compliant, etc. We're gonna make the bottom floor a gym facility. On the, in this structure, we plan on building an in-house, in-here staircase to go to the second floor, which is currently being occupied by the police department. The second floor will turn into a game room, possibly a billiard room, and a little conference room for residents to utilize. So this space is going to be for the residents, okay, and residents only. We know that we can have a space for residents and residents only. So this space will be for the residents and residents only. The gym, the game room, the billiard room, etc. Again, these are preliminary pictures, these are preliminary plans, but I feel that it's a good starting point. With that, behind us currently is Public Works. We feel at this stage, that both the town manager, Lisette and I, we all feel that we want to keep Public Works where it is, but at the same time, it's a lot more space because there's offices there than we need. So what we plan on doing is cutting the back part of the Public Works building, okay, which runs behind this building, okay. We're going to shorten the building by approximately 25%, I believe, give or take, and we're going to turn that into all green space. We'll make that the dog park. Okay, so all behind the building will be a huge dog park. It's about 6,000 square feet of green space for the dog park. Okay, so this is our preliminary plan for the town hall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the whole process. I'm going to introduce, Alex is going to go through the second phase of this, and then we'll open up for discussion. Again, I can't emphasize enough. We want input. Nothing's etched in stone. We had to have a starting point. This was our starting point. If you remember, when I first came and did the CIP project, this is exactly how the CIP project did, and how I started the CIP project. And if you look at the renderings of the CIP project from day one to what they are now, it's totally different. But it was a good starting point. So with that, that is what we're utilizing for the current space. So, okay, you asked a good question, Ms. Fishbein. Where is the new town hall going to go? So, currently, what we're planning on, after deep discussions, the town manager, Lisette and I, we wanted it to be a little off A1A, okay, but at the same time have access to A1A. So what we decided to do is make the building go from east to west instead of north to south. So we're trying to save as much green space as possible along A1A. So when you're driving on A1A, you don't see a huge structure. This is going to be a 3-story structure, okay, 2-story structure, but 3-story structure. The bottom floor is going to be parking, and the town manager is going to elaborate in a second about the layout of that. And then the first floor, which is the second floor, will be for the city town hall, the city offices. The third floor, which he's going to elaborate in a few minutes, will be for the town hall center and a little party room, etc. So the town hall is going to run from the east off A1A and run west. So the building's going to run this way. So there'll be some building on the A1A, but set back. So it's not going to impair anyone's view that has a home on A1A. So when you're driving on A1A, you'll see part of the building, but the remainder of the building is going to walk its way this way. So you can see the building going from east to west. This is the existing pump station. There'll be parking here on the first floor. There'll be parking all the way here. There'll be entrance on A1A and entrance on Terracina Avenue, okay? Which this is a great benefit. What that does is, if you live on Golden Beach Drive now, every person that needs to come through Town Hall has to drive through the guardhouse and down Golden Beach Drive. This is going to eliminate probably 40%, if not more, of the traffic on Golden Beach Drive. Because anyone going to Town Hall is going to go this way through A1A and not have to come on Golden Beach Drive. The second part of the change is this: we're going to move the basketball court so it'll face A1A, and then there'll be a volleyball court. These are the existing tennis courts, going to remain the same. The existing pavilion is going to remain the same. The existing playground is going to remain the same. Because what we're trying to do is, these spaces are workable spaces, and there's no issues with these spaces. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. At the same time, okay, like I said before, we're adding additional parking here. We have two options for this back here. One option, which is my favorite, is we're going to eliminate part of the, from almost the side of Town Hall. We're going to close the street in front of here. So,
You want to do that?
yeah. So one of the options would be or the other option is to keep it the same, having this like it's 13 spots. 13 spots to eliminate. We're still going to have over 90 spots.
So, go through the presentation. All right, so
Parking spots.
okay, go on. Right. Let me just go back to the So, we started talking about the concept of a new town hall or civic center. And when we had the dialogue with our community said we wanted to do a couple things. Try to come back to us with something that is unique to Golden Beach in terms of size and scale, respects the heritage of Golden Beach in terms of town hall, and that you can afford without raising our taxes, and something that you can afford within our current budget. So what the mayor and I did is we asked Lisette Rivora to give me the last name.
Was that Rogera to Bashful?
She has an architect. She's an architect. She has background in architecture. She's consulting for us. She's not going to be the one that designs any of this. What we wanted to do is have something that allows us to show our community what we can afford, what we can fit within the spaces that we have, and take some ideas. And I got to tell you, she took a concept and really tried to materialize it. We've been very, very happy with this. So in terms of our current footprint, so this is our current footprint today. So today we have all of the land on A1A that we purchased. If you remember back in the summer, we talked about building a building that goes from north to south. The mayor had this great idea during the summer. He said, look, it would be difficult to provide all that massing on A1A. So we could reorientate the building from going north to south to east to west and still keep some green space on A1A. We think the community would buy into that. So we tasked with redesigning the whole concept. And so we've been able to design a building that allows for green space. So as you're driving on A1A, you see open park spaces and some park and a building that has parking underneath. We thought about a parking deck, okay? Because I know that the Ocean Boulevard residents have asked for a parking deck. A parking deck would have only yielded 39 parking spaces, but would have driven our cost up by $1.2 million. So the value of 39 spaces for $1.2 million didn't make sense to us. So what we said is, okay, if we build a building on stilts and provide for parking underneath it, and we no longer have that ramp, we could save some of those spaces. And some of our residents were asking for us to be a resilient city. So a building on stilts allows for when as tidal influences occur, or if we were to have a storm surge, will be high enough that we could beat a crest, okay? In addition to that, the building that we're proposing, I'm not sure the building just yet, but the building, sorry, these boards are clumpy. The building actually sits 50 feet back from the curb on A1A. So this is not a mass that's on A1A, it sits back 50 feet. Right now, our setback for A1A is 35 35 feet to the front. We're actually going 15 feet beyond that. So this building is not actually on top of you as you're driving by. As the mayor mentioned, we explored two options in terms of parking, in terms of layout. We feel that we can achieve having a maximum of 118 new parking spaces. Okay, we currently have 44 parking spaces, so we're yielding 60 plus parking spaces by adding the parking underneath and by reconfiguring it. We still haven't decided, and we won't decide until after we go out to bid for an architect and engineers and consulting services to design this building, on whether or not we're gonna keep Golden Beach Drive open or divert Golden Beach Drive traffic to the alleyway behind Golden Beach, behind the building, to go out Southgate, because that is an option for us. So we can redivert traffic this way, go through the alleyway, but still use the Southgate.
And by utilizing that, we gain tremendous green space. Just so you can picture right now from here to the tennis courts would all be green space.
9,000 additional square feet of green space. Now, this is not what we're planning to build, okay, this is extremely important, because I don't want people to overreact or anything. Remember, the idea is that we need to, in drafting an RFP, we need to provide to the designers an idea of what we think we can have in our building, okay? So we know that we need approximately 9,000 to 10,000 square feet of office space. We also know that our building needs to fit within this footprint, it needs to have an east to west orientation, it needs to provide for the parking base that we want, and provide for an amenity for our residents. So this particular design, which Lisette put together, I think looks stunning. It may not be ultimately what we get. This shows that we can build a building, okay, that meets all of our criteria. It allows for parking underneath. As you're driving by, it's pretty open. The second floor is all of the offices that we need. The third floor is for our residents. During council meetings, it's our council chambers. But at night, if you wanted to hold a social gathering, it's a 1,000.
You
Let's
have
say-
about 4,000 square feet, sorry, 4,500 square feet of terrace
Would there be an
space.
elevator?
Yes.
Yes, there's an elevator tower here. The red, if you go to the chart, is vertical circulation.
Where's
we
the
have-
is the parking in, undercover
Underground.
or
Yes.
outside?
Both.
There are parts that are exposed, but everything under the building is.
So as you can tell here, the hashed area is under the building. So these are parking spaces under the building, and these are parking areas outside of the footprint. So some are underneath and some are outside exposed. But in terms of the building itself, what I was trying to get at is, so the third floor is an additional amenity for our residents. You could use the actual rooftop as a terrace to have social gathering and events. So in addition to using our beach pavilion or the Twiddle Park pavilion for a space to hold events, you would be able to use our third floor. What makes this building unique is by having a circulating tower, you could go from ground floor to the third floor without ever accessing the second floor. So we would close off the second floor at nights and weekends when our residents are using the top floor, and the top floor is self-contained. What the beauty of this concept is, we asked our residents what was important to you, and many of you said, we want an amenity that's ours and not open to the public. So when the mayor and I started brainstorming, and we started talking to Lisette, and we said, what can we do, how can we save money? How do we take an $11 million project and make it a $5.1 million project, right? And we said, okay, we need to keep our existing infrastructure. Many of you are probably thinking, well, wait a second, Alex, you told us during the summer that this building was non-habitable, that we can't use it, it doesn't meet OSHA, it doesn't meet any of that. I'm not being a hypocrite. This building we cannot use it does not meet OSHA, it does not meet floodplain, it does not meet, but as a gym, it wouldn't need to meet any of those. Because if this building gets washed away, there's no losing offices, there's no losing anything, we would lose our gym space, okay? We will make it ADA compliant, which deals with all the OSHA requirements, right? So we are planning to put in 2 ADA bathrooms, and by making this building self-contained, all the doors will be on a key fob system. So only residents of Golden Beach who have been issued a key fob would be able to come and access the building. We would staff it during normal hours. We would have an attendant who staffs the gym and makes sure that everything's clean like we do at our beach pavilion. But our residents would come here as a key fob. Can visitors come? The rules as to who can come into the building, the council will have to grapple with those ideas later on.
Down the road.
But what we wanted to do is say, okay, let's create a space outside of the town hall that is exclusive to our residents. So the Golden Beach Clubhouse, this would be your clubhouse. You would come in, there's a gym, and on the second floor. And as the mayor said, you know, in the concept of keeping public works inside of town, that allows us to do two things. By closing off all the parking bays around town, around the public works building, and making the building a vertical green space, the residents of Terracina will be also accommodated. Because their request was, how do we try to make that massing more palatable to us and our visitors? So that's like we're stealing your thunder. But
No, go ahead, you're doing a great job.
but the goal was to try to make this green space area more palatable to them. Now, what we're asking for tonight, you're just saying, okay, this is great, what are you asking for? Well, let us kind of talk about a few things. We know that we have $5.1 to $5.2 million available for this project. Where is that coming from? We believe we have $1.8 million of flood money that we have seized or have been committed to us. We also have $1.3 million in operating savings from the last three budgets that we have. And we know that we have a funding capacity, we have enough capacity in our budget to take on an additional $2 million loan. Don't forget, this is a 3-year project. So over the course of the next 3 years, as we're building and constructing that building, there's still operating savings that allow us to accelerate the repayment of that loan, right? $2 million seems like a lot of money. It actually isn't based on our funding capacity. We have enough capacity in our current operating budget to take on a $4 million loan, but we don't want to be as irresponsible. So we want to put a budget of $5.2 million and tell our designers, design a building to $5.2 million. That would be the new town hall, this new plan. And if we can get this plan done, right, then in phases, we would build this out. And so we
Because
believe,
we can't move into this building.
we can't move into this building
Until it's
until,
completed. The other thing is, this building, we're gonna build to at least a category 3, hopefully 4 or 5 hurricanes. So if there's ever a storm, we could use it as a command post. And that was one of the big issues with the past storm. The past storm was, thank God if Regalia did not let our officers stay and use that as a command post, Golden Beach would have gone unprotected for almost 48 hours.
the mayor's correct, so the building would be designed to a Cat 4, but we would still create a bunker within the building, so an enclosed bunker to sustain a Cat 5. So we would have what is called a bunker room, similar to what the city of Miami Beach has at the Miami City Ballet, believe it or not, that's where it is. Inside the Miami City Ballet in Miami Beach, because that's the highest elevation in the city. When I was there as their grants writer, we designed a bunker within the ballet building that could sustain a Category 5 storm. And that's where the emergency personnel from Miami Beach is housed during a Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5 storm. They go to the Miami City Ballet building. So within this building, we would harden one of these facilities, one of these blocks, to a Cat 5. Now, again, this is just conceptual. When we select an architect firm, and we would go out to pre-qualification, we would qualify architect firms, and then put out an RFP for a design of a building to this nature. What they give us in return may become something completely different, right, based on the financial limitations. But as the mayor mentioned, when we went out to bid off with the CIP, and if you look at the board before you leave tonight that's on this wall here in the hallway, what we conceptually put out there and what we got received were two different things. But in theory, they all met the same objective. We knew we wanted to underground our utilities. We knew we wanted a place for our pedestrians to walk safe. We knew that we wanted a stormwater system, a new water system, 3 new bridges. So they delivered the projects, but it just looks a little bit different. So tonight what we're asking, ultimately, let's get back to that question is this on the right path? Are we being responsible to the concerns that you expressed to us this summer? And have we brought back to you something that you feel is palatable in terms of cost, in terms of scope, in terms of design, and more importantly, the expectations that you gave us? You said to us, build something that's to scale. We believe that from a 22,000 square foot building, which we proposed this summer, to a 9,000 square foot building, okay?
This building's 9,700 square feet. This and the top, and the council, everything on top, not counting the
Our Ocean
Terrace.
Boulevard residents said, we need more parking, we've heard you, we're going from 44 parking spaces to up to 102, 118 parking spaces. So we more than doubled the parking that we have. You said,
It keeps, just one question, 118 parking spaces, is that just gonna be the allocation to the town hall, or is that gonna also include the parking spaces?
that's all of our parking spaces.
So that will also include the parking spaces by the West Palm Civic Center?
Yes, that's total
Is
parking.
that the largest building you can build?
No, we could build a 60,000 square foot building.
But we figure our needs is about 10,000 square feet max, and at the same time, we have we don't need any more of that, because we're not growing, and at the same time, we have a cost constraint. We don't wanna go over the budget of $5
What
million.
about a kitchen?
That's a kitchen.
That's kitchens. That's two.
Large,
2 kitchens. Again, the plan, the structure,
Before Mr. Sun asks his question, Mayor,
I'm sorry, the design of what space is not it's not written in stone. All we're doing is we know how many square feet we need. Kitchen bigger or smaller will come when we
Mr.
design.
I think you've got something reversed, in my opinion. I think that the social hall, you will find many uses for it. I mean, I could tell you some that I think. I would reverse, why not the office house, go on the 3rd floor and the.
Because on the 3rd floor, you have a terrace.
and you have a better view.
You can see the ocean. You can have outdoor events overlooking the ocean.
You mean you're gonna split the space between an enclosed social hall and a terrace?
Yes, correct.
You can,
It allows for a bigger footprint. The last point I was gonna make is, you also said respect the heritage of Golden Beach. And so when we looked at this existing building and trying to preserve the nature of this building and even though it's not historically designated, there's an emotional attachment to this facility. It's been in our community for many, many, many decades. And so what we wanted to do is preserve this building, keep the aesthetic value of it, but provide something that we feel our residents would enjoy. And so there's a way to soften this building up and still provide that amenity that you're asking for. We also heard our residents saying, you're offering too many amenities. What we really want is a gym and an indoor party room so that when it rains, we could go from the beach pavilion to an enclosed area. I think that we've achieved that. By providing the event space on the 3rd floor of the new Civic Center, or the new town hall, with an outdoor amenity deck, which is what we're proposing. Sorry, we keep going back and forth. But when you look at this as your alternative party space to the beach pavilion, you have a very large enclosed party space, because the town chambers basically would have a wall that we would close so you wouldn't see the dais, and all the chairs would be foldable chairs. So you now have this open party area that you can go out to a rooftop area, and if you wanted to have like a cocktail hour, or even a bar mitzvah or a wedding, you could do those type of amenities on this roof deck.
The roof deck's approximately 5,000
How
square
big
feet,
is the enclosed area?
The chamber area is 1,300 square feet.
and the roof deck is 5,000 square
It's
feet.
the footprint of the footprint of this area, the enclosed area, is about 80 square feet less than the enclosure at the beach pavilion. So we would take because what we didn't want to do, and this is important, we also didn't want to create a space that's too big that would be too inviting for too many events. So because the beach pavilion is 1,400 square feet, the chambers would be approximately 1,350 square feet. We said, okay, if you get rained out, you would have an alternative space, and you could still have the deck to provide that outdoor sand area.
Can we go back to the chart that shows when you're gonna close off part of Golden Beach Drive and provide the additional green space?
Sure. So
That just seemed like a terrific idea. First thing is, I wanna compliment the set, because I think the design is fantastic.
Thank you.
And I think the design you came up with is really, really good. And I also wanna compliment the mayor on the fact that you guys went east-west in the location of the building, I think is also terrific. Very well thought out. When you quoted $5 million on a 10,000 square foot space, which is about $5 a foot, and we already own the land, that cost seems kinda high to me. I think we could get that cost
Again.
down.
Okay,
Just a general comment.
perfect,
I
but we
think-
have to, we have to know our
I
max.
think it's a conservative
That's our-
number,
that's our
and I think
maximum,
you will
right.
make that budget. I think a lot of the town residents would like two things. One, speaking of half a lot of the dog owners, and you guys know I have an 80-pound Ridgeback, that current dog run is being used so by about 40 feet wide. The new dog run's only gonna be about 6,000 feet. If there's a way you guys could consider elongating that, because there's a lot of big dogs that run, and a square space is not as usable as a rectangular space.
There would be a run here, along this way.
Oh, okay, I
And
just
then,
saw the
and,
white one.
yeah, so all of this area here is new green space. So all the parking areas that we have behind the building, so we would enclose this entire footprint for our dog area. So there would be a long run and then a smaller.
Is it be comparable to what we have now?
Bigger, much bigger.
And the second thing is the idea of closing off part of Golden Beach Drive for the extra green space would be terrific if we could get it.
Yeah, we can do it.
My question is, do we have the right to close off that street?
Yeah, that street we can.
It's already closed. Physically, you drive it, but legally, it's already closed.
Correct.
Great, I feel a lot better.
Two things, Lisa, just brought in, listen. The existing dog park is about 3,400 square feet. The new proposed area is 6,200 square feet.
It's double the size.
Double the size. Double the green
It's
space.
length that matters.
Right.
Double the green space.
I suggest that you see, go to the Ann Cole Nature Center, do you know where it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Of Sheridan,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
look at their party room. It's huge, it's beautiful, and I think it might give you an idea of a very
We'll
pretty
definitely,
room.
we'll definitely add that to our list of places.
The last
Look
question
at
I have
Yes, ma'am.
is will the new building have, it's got hurricane glass, we all know that. Have you thought about hurricane shutters? Because, you know, a good storm coming east will really hit that building hard.
Absolutely, and although this rendering shows a lot of glass, ultimately, those are things that during design, we may scale back.
It drives cost.
Because it drives costs. And so the idea is, you know, what we really wanted to do is, you know, this circulator tower, to me, is great, because it allows us to restrict access to certain floors. It provides a landing for the parking area, so you would go into our circulator. If you wanted to run the stairs, you go up the stairs, so there'll be an elevator that takes you to the second floor. Second floor is where we provide our customer service, that's where we pull our permits. There'll be an area for our residents. There's enough space within the there's enough space within this footprint that our police department has more than adequate space. We're tripling the amount of space that they have today, okay? There's an area for our building department that can then at night be used for our kids when they have the Golden Beach Youth Leadership Group. They would have a meeting space that we would have. Our resident services department, there's offices for all of our staff. And like the mayor mentioned earlier, Mrs. Fishbein, to your point, we know that we are at the max in terms of our staffing that we envision Golden Beach to be. And in fact, the mayor and I just this afternoon talked about, you know, we do know that we're gonna have to scale down staff, and we're prepared to do so. And so when you talk about what else can we offer and what else would we need office space for, this building is our ideal building. We're doubling the amount of office space that we have today. We're doubling the amount of storage space that we have today. We're adding more conference spaces, more meeting spaces. We're adding more amenities for our residents. We're protecting this building. We're reusing and being sustainable to this building. And I think that in general, I think we've met what you asked us to meet this summer. And I gotta say thank you to Lesec, who was able to put all of these ideas pen to paper so you can visually see it.
We had to change it about 20 times.
And to the mayor's point, excellent, to the mayor's point, we did. This building was going north to south. We didn't went east to west. The idea of having park space on A1A, so when you're driving, you don't say, wow, there's a building, and you see kids playing next to an area. The building's gonna be high enough that when you drive by, you still see the old city hall behind it, right? There's some unique elements to what we put in the paper that what we need to know is, do you like it, or have we missed the mark?
And the other thing that's very important that I touched on, but is really crucial, especially for the residents on South Island and Golden Beach Drive, is now we're deterring all the traffic from coming into Golden Beach, that they're either gonna enter off A1A or Terracina. They're not gonna drive on Golden Beach Drive. And I'm telling you, that's about 40% of our traffic, if not more, of Golden Beach Drive is coming for Town Hall. So I think it does a few things. One, it alleviates traffic. Two, for safety and security purposes, it really is a big plus, because now less people are coming through the gate. okay? And the third thing is, it utilizes the space town tremendously, the green space, especially if we close off this front, because that gives us a huge runway from here to the tennis court, which will be all additional green space. And again, this is discussion purposes only, it's a starting point, it's where we wanna, start and walk before we run. And then our plan is, just our time frame is, we're gonna mow over this the next month, 2 months, 3 months. The first quarter of 2019, we're gonna put together a bid package with qualified bids. It's gonna go out to bid for our qualified,
First, as we prepare our bid package and our bid documents, council will take action on that. So it's not just that the mayor and I draft these documents, it'll come to council for council approval. Council will decide, have we put in all the right elements into that package? Is it worded correctly? Have we put in the proper constraints in that bid document? Council will take a vote on that document before we actually solicit bids.
I just noticed something, where are you moving the garbage trucks to?
Public Works area.
Public Works back here. So it's not gonna be,
The Public Works area. So back in this area, if you notice here, right here.
Okay.
Out of sight, but in the existing parking Public Works area. That's where they used to be parked. We used to park them back there. Before we decided to take up this space here, we've always parked them there. Our neighbors to the south may not like the fact that we're moving them back there, but that's where they have always been, and our neighbors south has no jurisdiction. Look, this building was also built in a way that we're respecting our neighbors to the south. We've kept the footprint of the building in the area where their guardhouse is. It only impacts one house because we said it back 50 feet. So we try to be respectful to them as well.
and the same thing with the Golden Beach residents on A1A. It's not gonna affect anybody.
Because it sits, sorry, Mayor,
No, I'm sorry.
Because it sits 50 feet back, it's less intrusive and it doesn't tower over.
There's no shadows.
No shadows.
Okay, and I think by our design, okay, we've conquered several obstacles. One is, we need a new town hall for safety, security purposes, and for growth issues. We've conquered that, but at the same time, we're preserving this building, which is a big plus. Okay, we're adding tremendous amenities for the residents, such as a gym, a civic center, a party room, and at the same time, we're getting a new town hall. So, and in addition to it, we're adding green space, not taking away, we're basically adding green space.
How long will the loan be, $2 million loan?
We have, that's all up in the air. We know that there are several institutions that are interested. We would like,
10 years loan?
we would like to keep it no longer than 10 years.
We did that when I purchased the 2 lots on Golden Beach Drive, on A1A, I purchased both those lots. One was 700, the other was 7090. We took out a 10-year loan, we paid it off in 4. 1 4 and 1 5, I think, yeah.
And the goal, like I mentioned earlier, because this is a 3-year planning horizon and construction process, whatever savings we have, that will add. And the longer, the 3-year planning, that doesn't mean that we won't get more LATF or C's asset dollars, because we still have 3 police officers who are detached getting more drug money for us. We've only committed 1.8 because that's what we know we have signed DAGs for, but more that we can get, the better. Mayor, I think staff had questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. I don't see a picture there. Would access through the south gate be something
Yes.
that's addressed?
Yes.
Okay.
So we would still provide access to the south gate. So by keeping the alleyway, so we would redirect traffic to the alleyway to go out to.
How
to
high is
Southwark.
this building off the ground?
Well, it's 3 floors, so it'd be no higher than 40 feet.
Yeah,
No, I mean
to the
from the-
parapet,
From the ground to where the first,
44 feet, to the top of the tower, we probably run to like, 48.
She's talking about the underdeck.
What's the height of the first floor above the parking?
We have a 15 foot, a 10 foot, and a 15 foot to the top of the roof, and then the elevator will have an overrun of about 6 feet.
So if the God forbid there's ever a category 4 or 5 storm,
Say, the
and
only
the sea
storm
surge
surge
goes
is
through,
under- is
it's
under
going right
15
through the
feet.
building, it's not gonna affect the building.
15 feet seems like a pretty reasonable, because we're not in a basin area. So what happened with Michael and Florence? Was
No, Florence.
This year?
Because all that water goes into a basin area, your surge is gonna be higher. So you have the Gulf and then you have the Northeast. Here, surges can be high but there's nothing that constrains it to make it higher. So 15 feet surge is what the county says, worst case scenario, best case scenario that we can see. That doesn't mean that there isn't an outlier that gives a 30-foot surge, but there has never been a surge in South Florida higher than 8 feet. So,
Right. And we're gonna build it, like
Even-
the town manager said, to category 4, category 5 standards. So-
and you have 8-foot surge into the Everglades, but not along the shoreline.
Is there any kind of fence to prevent people just walking from A1A
Yes.
to the town?
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
It'll all be fenced off.
It's a little bit faded now, but there is an existing wall, as it runs along with, some planting and things, those can remain.
We would choke, it's called choke, we would choke all the open access areas so that you either go in through a code like we have today, or fog. Well, the fog would be for the building. Fogs on the gates are very difficult because of the elements. So, because we've explored putting fogs on all of our access gates. And the problems that we're having is because exposure to the element would cause us to replace those fog systems too frequently, and we just don't have the resources to do that. But it would all be enclosed, and there would be we would also make it very difficult to have vehicles go through Ocean now. So we would choke that you couldn't go to town hall and then say, oh, I'm gonna go to Golden Beach Drive. No, we would limit that. If you wanted to go inside of town, you would have to leave town hall, drive to the Strand, and then come in. But if you're a resident, and you wanna come to town hall, you would come to the town hall here, and then walk into the.
I'm taking my golf cart.
Are you 14 or 60?
I don't have one yet. I'm gonna buy one.
Skills test, touch your nose. But anyways, I think it's a great starting point. And again, we're open for suggestions. Nothing's edged in stone, nothing's written in stone, which is a starting point for us. And I think, like what I did with the CIP project, you gotta walk before you run. This is a good walking point.
I have a question. What if the
Thank
New Year's Eve party has horrible weather? Could you take all the people that
No.
attend the New Year's Eve party and put it in that party?
Absolutely, because the footprint of the enclosed area is only 60 feet less than the pavilion, we can absolutely host them in this building. Because also the terrace of this building is 4 times the size of what we have in terms of space
If it's
today.
bad, you don't use it.
I just want to see hurricane shutters.
You know what though, but the new impact
I
windows,
know.
and the new impact, you really don't need them. I mean,
I know that I said it earlier. I just want to say, when the mayor and I have these grand ideas and we want to talk to our residents, it's very difficult to kind of have you understand what's in our head and kind of our vision. And Lisette really has worked this summer to try to help us put all this pen to paper. I am not gifted at all when it comes to CAD or renderings, and so thank you for helping us get to this job.
thank you.
It's my pleasure to present the project.
Does anyone have any comments or suggestions,
I think so.
questions? We'll start tomorrow. But thank you.
Nice.
Golf, all right.
Dear 800.
No way. Thank you.
Hey, Alex,
So with that,
wait, I'm sorry, can we just say a few things?
yes,
One, I'd like to make sure everyone is so clear, this is very, very preliminary. This is the first time Amy and I have seen this since we last raised the subject a while ago. It's in very preliminary stages, nothing has moved very long. It's a great conceptual concept. I think it hits a lot of things that we talked about from the residents, from the council last time. We love taking traffic off of Golden Beach and putting it on A1A. I think that's fantastic. We have less people from out of town coming through here. But again, it is very conceptual. Nothing set in stone on this. This is just early, and it has not gone through very much. It hasn't gone through any council member discussion at all.
Yeah.
Can
And
these
the-
concepts be put on the website for the rest of the residents?
Yeah.
They will be tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yep.
And again, we urge you and, to give us your feedback. You might think of something, again, we're not moving on this for several months, so, think about it. You have any questions, come see the town
Mayor-
manager or myself.
Mayor,
and we'll take into consideration.
to Councilman Bernstein's point, as I mentioned earlier, so what happens now is we take all of these concepts and restrictions that we've placed on ourselves. We know that we want at a minimum 108 spots, 118 spaces. We know that we want a building that's at least 15 feet in height on the first floor. We know that at a minimum we need 9,000 square feet. So all of these requirements that we're going to place on the bidding community, we'll start to formulate a bid document. That bid document will probably come before the council 2 or 3 times until we get it right. Once the council blesses that bid document, which is what we did with the CIP. You remember the CIP? We had 6 meetings, maybe 7, on sidewalk width. You guys remember that? We would debate 3 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet.
Where we're taking the land from.
Where we were taking the land from. Was it coming from the east? Was it coming from the west? So I don't want, and the councilman is correct, I don't want anyone to think that we're going to bring a document, that's it, we're going to vote it up or down. We're going to continue to bring these ideas so that the council and the community can have an open, active dialogue based on premises that we have been given. And so tonight was, this summer you said, Taj Mahal was too big, you can't afford it, you want too much, go back with these limitations. So we did that, we went back. So as we put together those documents for your consideration, the community will be invited to participate, the council will be invited to participate. When we feel comfortable with our bid document and the council takes final action on that item, then that document will go out to bid. Then we'll start to see what the bidder community proposes to us. Once that comes back, then that's negotiated and discussed. We may not like what the bidders come back with. It may be something completely different than this, and we may say, no, this is not what we envisioned or what we wanted. And this council will say yes or no and vote it up or down, and we'll go through this until you feel comfortable with a final set of design that you feel comfortable will not give us any budget overruns, that will be within the numbers that we've placed. Then we'll award a contract for construction, and then we'll task that. So every step of what we're